All right, ladies, welcome to another episode. I haven't done one in a long time, but I want to show you how I go about these LED tea lights that I order off of Amazon, and I'll put the link in the description. But basically, you have a magnetized tea light that is LED, and I put these little magnets on the back. You got to make sure you have the polarity correct. When you go to put your opposite magnet under your terrain, otherwise it won't quite stick. But they come with a little remote here, and this is typical Chinese product. You pick the different colors, and I use what is called a glass wool, medical grade glass wool that I actually ended up getting in some packaging when I was younger, and hung on to these for a long time. But you can, it helps diffuse the light, so you can see all the different colors when you change the remote. And there's even like a flashing option, which I use that for like an objective or something like that, to show like a beacon. But for smoke effects, it works great. And you could put these under catwalks or in terrain, a burning building maybe, and it lights up the board pretty good with just normal ambient lighting. And you could use, if you don't have that glass wool, you could use something like this. This is just batting you would get from, let's say, the inside of a stuffed animal. If you just butcher your stuffed animal, some old animal from your kids hanging out, you open up, pull the guts out, and that batting will do just as good for a diffusion and the smoke. So these little now the key is with the batteries, you guys. You gotta take the batteries out, ideally, or put that little piece of plastic or separation in so that it's not engaged when you're keeping it in storage, or they'll just completely drain, and then the batteries will be no good. So that's probably the most important tip I'd have to say about these LED lights, which I highly recommend. You can get them on Amazon. You get them for about $20 for a pack of 10. And the price hasn't really changed in about 5 years, which is amazing. And they've gotten smaller. So you've seen I have kind of like a big version and a small version. Now, I spray painted these on the sides black. They come clear, and I added that black paint on the side. You just basically mask or put a piece of tape over the main lighting area and spray paint the rest of it. So the black helps blend in with your catwalks or whatever it is you want to stick under. And I'm going to show you a bunch of videos or screenshots here of terrain that I've built and use these. All right, so let's talk about integration of these lights into your terrain. So you can do it a couple ways, but the main way I do it is to ensure that when I'm building the terrain or planning it, I leave enough room to fit the light. And sometimes that means making the terrain a little thicker than you normally would. And you have to carve into some foam and leave room to drop these things in before you set up the game. And so think about that, modularity and how you're going to go about doing that after the fact. So leave space, use magnets to hold things in place. So the different ways that I have done this is obviously for catwalks, you want to have the same polarity under every magnet, and you can just embed or hot glue a magnet underneath, and try to find the stronger ones. That way they're not getting knocked loose. You don't want that real thin magnet stuff. You want something that's going to stick strongly to a refrigerator. I also have found ways to put it into, let's say, little fire pits. So these are just foam carved, like sloped mounds. Actually, I used glue tissue wrapped up and balled it around the light as almost like a mold, and then it fits underneath. So you can use those as like little fire pits. This here is a trophy case for my Predator Alien Yautja team, and it's a nice little visual set piece here but I had to plan in advance to stick these lights underneath it, so there's a thin foam base, or actually thick foam that then these pop into, and then the smoke kind of obscures the actual lights themselves. Otherwise, here I've used beacons. These are some metal scrap parts where you can fit. I'm actually able to fit the light inside of it and use the strobing white light effect. That's one of the options on the remote. Unfortunately, only the white for some reason allows you to strobe and blink. All the other colors just either stay solid, or they do like a rainbow effect, which looks kind of ridiculous. So anyways, that's for beacons on the board, or objectives. And then the last thing you can do is just set the lights up scattered around on the sidelines. Then obviously fire, smoke effects inside of a burning building, or the lights inside of, let's say, an inn or a tavern, like I have here in these. This is like a Village of Bree type of scenario. Let's talk. I mean, these lights, they're very modular, obviously, so they're a lot easier than wires. Wiring up a board has a lot of downsides to it. Number one, they're actually very expensive once you add everything up, and it's very static, so you can't move the wires around. And I've also found that they're not as bright as these things, so that's something to consider. And let's see, the glass wool. Talking more about the glass wool. I haven't found where to buy this on Amazon. I mean, it is on Amazon. I think it's pretty expensive. But this stuff is it's very wispy, which creates these great smoke effects. That's better than the cotton or straight, batting from a stuffed animal. So the wisps kind of stay in the shape that you form them, which makes it look very ethereal, and which is going to be better than like a fog machine. Like if you bought a fog machine for your board, it's going to get it's going to get things wet. I believe it will, and it's a lot harder to maintain. And you're trying to game, and you don't deal with all this fog and machine chemicals and stuff. So, anyways, but finding this stuff is not easy. I got it in some packaging from way back with my wedding. There was some crystal glasses that came with like a big ball of this stuff, like wrapping the packaging of the crystal. I think they use it in medical field as well, and it's not insulation like with like wool or glass fibers that you don't feel any of there's no like actual shards or anything like that, so it's safe to touch. But yeah, if anyone finds it, maybe post something on Facebook or whatever. But other than that, the last thing I want to talk about is the activation of the lights here. So the remote, they work universally. So if you have one remote, it'll work on all the lights. But sometimes you want to have different colors, and if you're too close to the different lights, they all turn the same color. So if you want multicolored areas, like I have in this picture here, you're going to have to, hold, when you set up, move the light separately, the piece that you're working with, and kind of about 5 feet away, activate that, then bring it back to the table, and you can do that as you need to set up your board. And then just lastly, these lights work on all genres of war games, whether you're doing sci-fi, obviously, fantasy settings. I've used it in like World War II, burned out buildings. And so there's really a lot of uses for it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and cheers.